I'm gonna eat my orange cause it has a tumor, and tumors are ugly, so I'm gonna eat it.
Steve, I am Palutena, and I need your assistance.
Well, I just want to eat my
Medusa has returned, and I need you to join the fight against her.
But can I eat it first, man?
You must hurry! There is no time to lose!
Fine!
How did it go?
Everything went perfectly.
Excellent. Your payment is being transferred. Hope to work with you soon.
Hi everyone, and welcome to NUReviews with me, Brad. I will be taking the reins from Steve this time around as we review Kid Icarus Uprising. Kid Icarus Uprising is the latest game in the Kid Icarus franchise, a franchise that hasn't seen a new title since the early 90s. In this game you play as Pit, commander to the armies of the goddess of light, Palutena. The evil Medusa has returned with her underworld army, and it's up to you to stop her again. The gameplay is severely different than the original. While the original was a platformer game with a bit of side-scrolling and shooting, Kid Icarus Uprising is primarily a rail shooter with a third-person shooter dark side. The solo campaign stretches about 25 chapters, most chapters following the routine of air battle, ground battle, then a boss. The air battle portions are strictly a rail shooter and are where the game really shines. The controls handle fantastically, the gameplay is fast and fun, and the visuals are fantastic. The ground battles, however, are where you're probably going to have more trouble. On the ground, your controls are exactly the same as in the air. You move with the control pad, aim with the stylus, and shoot with the L button. But ground battles throw in two more controls, dodging/running, that are controlled by double tapping the control stick, and controlling the camera, which is used with the stylus. The camera controls are a bit of a pain to get used to, especially with a lot of enemies to keep track of, and the dodging mechanic causes just as much pain as it does help. There are sections on small platforms that you have to dodge incoming attacks, but you can dodge right off the edge, dealing a good chunk of damage and causing you to restart the section. Bosses typically play with the same controls as the ground battles, but I have found them a lot better, probably due to the smaller arena and the sole enemy to keep track of. Another aspect of the solo campaign is the Fiend Cauldron, Kid Icarus Uprising's difficulty meter. The meter goes from 1 to 9, and you have to contribute hearts depending on the difficulty level you choose. Anything above level 2 requires you to bet hearts, which allows for greater rewards and tougher enemies, but if you die you permanently lose the hearts you bet. And anything lower than a 2 you have to pay, so you have to bet to make things tougher, but pay to make it easier. You're allowed complete control over the weapons you take into each stage. There are 9 categories of weapons, and within each category there are different types of weapons that have varying stats and attributes. There's also an option to fuse together 2 weapons to make a new one, often carrying over stats from the 2. So getting the strongest weapon is not only a matter of personal opinion, but also not as simple as doing a certain level at a certain difficulty. You also have selected powers that you can try and take into any level. The powers you do take in, however, is determined by how many Tetris-like pieces you can fit on a 6x6 board. The multiplayer in the game plays exactly like a ground battle. A maximum of 6 players, including bots, are thrown into a large arena and are meant to do battle with each other, using any weapon or power they have gained thus far. There are 2 gameplay types, free-for-all, which obviously pits every man against themselves, and the light vs. dark, which pits 2 3-man teams against each other. Each team has a shared life bar that decreases whenever a teammate dies, and the amount it decreases by is determined by the value of that player's weapon. When the life bar is depleted, the last person to die becomes the team's angel, which signifies the team's last stand. Defeat the opposing team's angel and you win the match. The game in its entirety is great fun. If you find a comfort zone of difficulty, you can plow through the campaign in about 10 to 15 hours or so, depending on how much your hand cramps from the controls. My only gripe is the controls, which you'll find in just about any review you find on the internet. A lot of reviewers also complain about the cheesy back and forth dialogue that goes on while you're playing, but for me, I rarely noticed because I was too focused on the gameplay itself. I actually had to go into options and change the sound settings so I could hear the voices better. What I did hear of the dialogue, however, I really enjoyed. It's cheesy and it makes fun of a lot of things, even itself, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. Before I forget, there is an AR card aspect to the game, but it's not worth it, so I won't even go into detail about it. There is also a street pass functionality where you create gems out of weapons you own to trade with people you pass on the street. The gems you collect, you can either fuse to make a new weapon, break open to get the weapon inside of that gem, or trade for hearts. I haven't had the chance to dabble with this all that much, but the 2 gems I do have take an absurd amount of hearts to crack open. I won't be giving this game a score because that's completely subjective. My 10 out of 10 will probably be someone's 7 out of 10, you never know. But I can say without a doubt that if you own a 3DS, you have to get this game.
Just gotta add a description and upload. Whew. It's been a grueling 3 weeks, but I finally got that Kid Icarus review up. 3 weeks? I wonder how Steve is doing. Oh, time to get tacos.
This isn't skin.